think of when you hear the word prophet? I think of biblical times. I think of long robes. I think of beards, white beards, old men. But the man I want to talk to you about today began his ministry when he was 23 years old, and this was in 1919. He would later be known as the 20th century prophet, and I kind of want to give you a kind of a mind grasping concept. Like that was 90 years ago. That was after World War One. That was in the 20th century. Like, can you even imagine someone with that kind of power and that kind of influence and word and attention to God's voice in such a corrupt time period and world as the 1900s, especially in America? I chose this person because he gives me hope that I can be an extraordinary person in ordinary worlds, that I can love Jesus Christ, I can be a middle class conservative, I can spread the gospel and still have a sense of humor and not neglect my family. Honestly, the only thing I hope to give to you from my speech today is a little encouraging. Because I know that even if you're not a Christian, you can relate with a story of a poor guy born in a nothing town, in a nothing city, in a place that has seemingly nothing to offer the world, to a poor guy from nowhere with no background, no family, and to see him chase his dreams and pursue after something when everything else seemed against him. A.W. Tozer was a simple man who lived his life with such integrity and a passion for people, and always put his family before himself. I know that these people are few and far between, so I know this man is worth seeking wisdom and modeling my life in the same direction as him. Aidan Wilson Tozer was born on a small farm in Pennsylvania in 1897. When he was 15, he overheard a street preacher urging his listeners to call on God and to be saved. And this is exactly what Tozer did later that night, in his attic, all by himself, and he became saved. Let's see, in 1919, when he was 23, like I said before, he was married and was soon the head pastor of a church in West Virginia. And this is where he would spend the next 44 years of his life, in this teeny tiny town with a congregation that started as 80 but grew to 800 in several years. In 1950, he was elected editor of the soon-to-be very popular Alliance Life Christian magazine, which doubled immediately after his election. Let's see. Alongside pastoring a small church, he and his wife raised 7 children, and supported them and loved them and raised them as good Christian people. That, personally, I believe is one of the hardest things that a man can do, is to pastor a family and to lead young people up to their next generation of what they're supposed to be in their life. Let's see, he spent the final years of his ministry in a small church in Toronto, Canada, and he died in 1963 of a heart attack. This man's ministry and goal in life was to touch people with his words and his writings, especially his writings. He wrote over 40 books on prayer, how to walk with God, defending your faith and strengthening your faith, and simply the greatness of God.